Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing there are no alarms, no office, no school, no emails, no meetings, and no boss waiting for you. It sounds like the perfect vacation, but here's something most people never think about. For more than 95% of human history, this wasn't a vacation. It was simply everyday life. Ancient humans had no jobs in the modern sense. There were no salaries, no resumes, no promotions, and no weekends because there was no Monday to dread. So, what exactly did they do all day? The answer is probably very different from what you're imagining. Movies often show ancient humans spending every waking second running from predators or desperately hunting giant animals. In reality, life was much more balanced. Early humans lived in small groups, usually made up of families and close relatives. When the sun rose, they didn't rush out immediately. They first looked around their surroundings, checking for signs of danger, changes in the weather, or animal tracks that might lead to food. The day's plan depended entirely on nature. If berries were ripe nearby, some people would gather them. If fresh animal tracks were found, hunters might follow them. If the group needed water or firewood, those tasks came first. One of the biggest myths about ancient life is that hunting was their main source of food. Surprisingly, that's not true. Hunting was difficult, dangerous, and often unsuccessful. A group could spend hours tracking an animal and still return empty-handed. In many ancient societies, most daily calories actually came from gathering fruits, nuts, roots, seeds, insects, eggs, and edible plants. This meant that everyone, not just the strongest hunters, played an important role in keeping the group alive. What's even more surprising is that researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer societies have found that many of them spend only about 3 to 5 hours each day collecting food. That's significantly less time than many people spend working today. Once enough food was gathered, the rest of the day wasn't filled with endless labor. Instead, people repaired tools made from stone or bone, sharpened hunting spears, stitched together animal hides for clothing, built simple shelters, or cared for children. These weren't jobs with fixed hours. They were simply the everyday responsibilities of living. Unlike modern society, where people specialize in one profession for decades, ancient humans learned many different skills throughout their lives. A person might hunt one day, gather plants the next, help build shelter after that, and spend another day teaching children how to recognize edible berries or make simple tools. Knowledge wasn't written in books. It was passed from one generation to the next through observation, practice, and storytelling. As the sun began to set, something remarkable happened. Instead of staring at phones or televisions, families gathered around a fire. This was one of the most important parts of the day. Around those campfires, people shared stories about successful hunts, strange animals, dangerous places, and the history of their ancestors. Many scientists believe these nightly conversations helped humans develop language, strengthen social bonds, and pass on knowledge that could mean the difference between life and death. In many ways, those ancient campfires were humanity's first classrooms. Life wasn't easy, of course. There were no hospitals, supermarkets, or emergency services. Injuries could become deadly, food wasn't always guaranteed, and harsh weather could change everything overnight. But contrary to popular belief, ancient humans weren't constantly exhausted from endless work. Their lives followed the rhythms of nature rather than the ticking of a clock. They woke with the sunrise, rested when the day grew hot, and slept soon after darkness covered the land. Perhaps the biggest difference between their world and ours wasn't technology, it was the meaning of work itself. Today, we often work to earn money so we can buy the things we need to survive. Ancient humans skipped that entire system. They worked directly for survival. If they needed food, they found it. If they needed shelter, they built it. If someone in the group was sick or injured, everyone helped because the survival of one person often affected the survival of all. So, what did ancient humans do all day before jobs existed? They searched for food, cared for their families, crafted tools, explored the land, taught their children, laughed with friends, and ended the day gathered around a fire beneath a sky filled with stars. Their lives were far from easy, but they were also far more connected to nature than most of us can imagine today. The next time you're rushing to work or staring at another packed schedule, remember this. For almost all of human history, There were no offices to clock into, no deadlines to meet, and no paychecks to collect. The only schedule people followed was the rising and setting of the sun. And somehow, humanity still survived long enough to build the modern world we live in today.